Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Amy Sam. I am the Health Education Project Specialist at the Maxwell and Eleanor Blum Patient Family Learning Center at Mass General. Today's session is part of our Paving the Path to Wellness series, a special collaboration between the Blum Center and Paving the Path to Wellness program, which is part of Lifestyle Medicine at Mass General Brigham Cancer Institute. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few items with you all. Please note that today's session is being recorded for educational purposes. If you're interested in viewing the recording, it'll be made available on the Blum Center website at massgeneral.org/Blum-Center. Please note that you are in listen-only mode. Everyone has been muted so you can hear our lovely guest speakers today. If you have any comments, thoughts, or questions you'd like to share, you may do so in the chat, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We'll have time for them at the end. Only Blum Center staff and our guest speakers will see your questions. Please do not share any personal medical information or questions in the chat. If you have a personal medical question, please ask your doctor. Lastly, at the end of today's session, you'll be directed to a brief survey, which we'd like to ask you to complete. Your feedback is important to us as we plan future programs. Right, so joining us today, we have Lauren Winters. She is an oncology nurse practitioner with the Breast Cancer Treatment Program and Lifestyle Medicine Program at Mass General Brigham Cancer Institute. We also have Dr. Sylvia Perry. Sylvia is a nurse practitioner with Mass General Surgical Oncology, Breast, and the Paving the Path to Wellness program. We are also joined by our very special guests, Lisa and Candace, who are Paving graduates. And they are all here today to lead a session on new paths, new strength, embracing variety investigations in cancer survivorship. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Sylvia, who will get us started.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see that? Yes, okay. Let me put it into slideshow. Okay. We are so delighted to be here. Thank you so much, Amy and the Blum Center, for having us. Our foundation from which we come to you is the Paving the Path to Wellness series, and today's session will focus on embracing variety and investigations in cancer survivorship. Some objectives for today's session include exploring how our Paving the Path to Wellness program and curriculum uses evidence-based lifestyle medicine concepts and pillars to help empower cancer survivors and thrivers to adopt new behaviors and rediscover joy in living well. To learn how embracing variety and adopting a curious investigator mindset, which I will explain what we mean by that, can support long-term well-being and help sustain health practices, and hear from patient guests who shared their stories of how they've incorporated variety to optimize health after cancer. So just some definitions to start. Survivorship is a broad concept, and we know that in this day and age, with all the technologies that we have many people living in the US having gone through cancer treatment journeys. In fact, by 2030, there will be 22 million people living in the US who have gone through cancer treatment. So it becomes a way of living, and it is something that one has gone through, but we think about all the life and health that is to be had after that journey. So survivorship focuses on the health and well-being of a person with cancer from the time of diagnosis until the end of life, so throughout one's life. And this includes the physical, mental, emotional, social, financial effects of cancer and that treatment journey entails. Survivorship can involve issues related to care and health and maybe effects of one's cancer treatment after treatment. Screening and prevention around prevention of other cancers or recurrence, and general quality of life. And also survivorship involves not just the person who's gone through this journey, but also one's friends, family, caregivers, and people that are part of your life. Cancer treatment in this day and age involves many, many different ways of treatment that include surgery, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, or medications that you might take by mouth, immunotherapy. So there are many ways that we're treating cancer, and the research and work that goes on makes these all the more sort of interwoven as a cancer experience. And all of these different things can have different effects on the body and also one's emotional and psychological health as well. So survivorship care involves both following up with your team on a regular cadence, your cancer medical oncologist or your surgical team or your radiation oncology team, screening for other cancers and kind of surveillance in general, following up with genetics, which again is a field within the cancer medicine world that gallops ahead of us, and there's lots of interesting research, maintaining sort of long-term health and maybe again side effects or effects of treatment that one has as part of their post-cancer treatment experience, and then attention to psychosocial issues, mental health. And this last bullet is really where we focus in the Paving the Path to Wellness series, which is promotion of healthy behaviors. So lifestyle medicine is a theoretical kind of construct that brings together pillars of wellness. And we just define these pillars of wellness in 6 ways. And they empower individuals with the knowledge and skills to make behavior changes across all of these pillars that can address underlying causes of disease and also promote health. So the 6 pillars are healthful eating or nutrition, and we often will promote a plant-forward or plant-based whole grain kind of a diet. Physical activity and exercise, moving of any kind, stress management, stress resiliency, which includes mindfulness and other kind of behaviors and practices that can help manage stressors, avoidance of risky substances, improving our sleep, and then social connection is one of the most important pillars of well-being that will come up a couple of places in this presentation. Paving the Path to Wellness is a curriculum that we use in the MGH Cancer Center, which provides education around these evidence-based lifestyle interventions in these 6 pillars, which can promote health, well-being, and improve outcomes after completion of treatment for cancer. And again, we use the word empowerment. Many of these pillars and steps, the paving steps that we talk about that are here, we try to help you understand how you can change your behaviors and promote your own well-being and wellness by thinking about these different areas. So physical activity, nutrition is there, sleep, social connection, and then in paving, and this wheel illustrates kind of how we expand what we mean by lifestyle medicine. We expand it to think about things like variety and investigations, what we'll talk about today, stress resiliency, attitude. How does our attitude impact how we can adopt new health practices and be more well and bring our most well self to the each day? Social support, connecting with purpose, finding energy, and being able to take time out. So this is our Paving the Path to Wellness wheel, and we aspire to promote healthy living, peaceful mind, joyful heart. So why do we care about variety? Variety is the spice of life. It makes things interesting. So as we talk about these different things, nutrition, exercise, sleep, etc., we want most of all for you to be able to think about things that you could do, changes you could make that have variety and keep you interested and engaged, and then enable you to sustain those health practices. So if we think about a whole health model, not just sickness and health, but health of one's whole body, mind, and spirit, variety is inherent in supporting those different things. So there are different things we can do to support our mind, to support our body and physical health, to have spiritual health and connections. And so variety then becomes diverse food choices and how we eat and how we cook, diverse and varied self-care activities, which could be mindfulness practices, yoga, hobbies, things that bring you together with other groups, different types of physical activity, and broad support systems to create a balanced and personalized plan for overall well-being. Essentially, we want to help you see a wide range of options that will support you in your journey toward health and well-being and recovery and survivorship ongoing. So in terms of nutrition, we think about color. We like to say, eat the rainbow, which is the bottom bullet of this slide. And this is a picture of a jar. These are called salad jars, or sometimes they're called bowls. You'll see them on menus, where we pack a bowl or a jar or a plate with lots of fiber and color and flavor. And that is sort of an ideal to aspire to. But generally, nutrition, we want to help you make healthy choices and understand what those choices might be. We want them to be easy and accessible. How do you shop to fill your fridge with things that you can easily reach for that are in that healthier choice category? What kind of meal prep would lend itself to this, making it easier to bring healthy meals to work or wherever you go in your day? How do you flavor things if we're trying to avoid certain things like salt or certain types of fats? What other kinds of things that can we use to create variety and flavor? That could be a spice cabinet or using new kinds of things to flavor your food. Adding fiber wherever and whenever we can. Nourishing, really getting protein and the nutrients that we want to have for whole-based nutrition, and eating the rainbow. So some ideas in the spirit of variety and nutrition is trying new things, getting some new herbs or spices for your spice cabinet, trying new grains. There are lots of whole grains that you might be familiar with and might be in your cabinet, but there might be some grains that you haven't tried before, things like whole grains and whole rices and bulgur and quinoa and other kinds of things that you may have heard about and not used. There are places in the grocery store where you can find many, many different, more diverse kinds of grains. So kind of exploring things that are new to add to your plate or to add to your larder. And vegetables as well. We live in an amazing area with stores that have all sorts of colorful vegetables on the shelves, trying new things, kind of expanding your grocery list, cooking new meals. So checking websites, asking friends and families or people that you're meeting along your journey about what they cook and how they integrate some of these key ingredients into their meals, trying new restaurants, trying new meals, plant-based and plant-forward proteins like tofu, beans, nuts, lentils. Some of those are wonderful sources of proteins that are not meat, and that can add great nutrition to your diet. Cookbooks, and then involving your family and friends. Eating is such a social activity. And so when we think about variety, sometimes it can be a little risky if you're bringing something new onto your family dinner table. So involving your family, your spouse, your children, whomever you share a home with or you share meals with, and exploring the variety of new adventures in the department of nutrition with people that you eat with. A nice graphic is this Harvard School of Public Health Healthy Eating Plate, which helps us understand what should our plate look like. It's very accessible to anyone. If you are someone who's feeding young children at home, just sort of say, this is what we're aspiring to. This is what we want our plate to look like. So you'll notice with basically 4 quadrants, vegetables and fruits making up 1/2 of your plate. And on that half of the plate, lots of color. So eating the rainbow, again, that's something that if you're eating with children, people can really grasp and understand. The other 2 quadrants, whole grains. So whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta, brown rice, quinoa, other kinds of grains that you'll find. And then limiting some of the refined grains, and something that is refined typically is more white, like white rice, white bread, regular pasta. And then on the protein quadrant, 1/4 of your plate should be protein. And we recommend fish, poultry, beans, and nuts as your sources of protein, and avoiding or limiting red meat and cheeses, avoiding things like cold cuts, bacon, and processed meats. So this can be a nice visual to sort of help guide you if you're trying to make some changes in nutrition and bring some variety to your plate. On the topic of variety and physical activity, another well-being pillar, and this will come up with our guests. physical activity comes in several forms, and we want you to get a nice balance of all of these. So aerobic or cardiovascular exercise, things like walking, biking, running, something where you get your heart rate up, you might break a sweat, things that we think about traditionally with exercise. Then we have resistance or strength training. Sometimes particularly having gone through a cancer journey, having been laid up after a surgery or not feeling very energetic or really being more sedentary to get through your treatment, you're a bit deconditioned. So strength training really helps you build back muscle and gain your strength back. And this is things like weightlifting, weight training, resistance bands. And we always recommend checking with your provider and then maybe working with a trainer or physical therapist to know what you can and should do and how to build back gradually. And then stretching and flexibility, also very important, particularly as we age, we get tighter muscles. As we start to exercise, we get muscle tightness. So this is also important. And this can be stretching or a yoga class or any kind of exercise or activity that helps stretch your muscles. And that also contributes to our balance. So variety, physical activity does not just have to be going to the gym or running or riding a bike. There are all these different things that absolutely count. And many of your providers will ask during a follow-up visit, tell me what you do to stay active. I think I asked that question about 15 times a day. And I love hearing variety that people will describe of things that they're doing to stay active. Walking one's dog, doing yard work, gardening, housework. I live in a 5-story home and I go up and down the stairs with laundry. That's great exercise. And then things like dancing and doing things that are more in a group exercise kind of setting. But all of these things contribute to variety and physical activity. And we believe that if you choose things with some variation, you're more likely to do them with more regularity. You don't just get stuck in a rut doing one thing. So you have the ability to kind of broaden your activity list. Sleep, another one of our important pillars of well-being in lifestyle medicine. It is recommended that we get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. 8 or 9 hours is better. Some people need more than that. And again, if you're having some fatigue post-treatment, you may require more sleep. But how do you get that? Sometimes people sleep easily. Oftentimes post-treatment, maybe even on medications or as we age, there's some intermittent wakenings in the night. So how do you maximize and optimize that sleep time that you have? Experimenting with your routines, making sure you're turning off your screens, for example, before bed. Usually about an hour before bed, you want to stop looking at screens and having that light going into the back of your eyes. Adjusting, if you want to be getting up, for example, say you want to be getting up early to exercise, what time do you need to go to bed in order to get up to get your exercise in before your day? Are you someone who might need a nap? And if you do, what does that look like? Shorter nap is probably preferred than a longer nap, but what might your day look like to optimize your sleep and your energy from it? And then things like relaxing things at night if you have a hard time getting to sleep. Cup of chamomile tea, sometimes a warm shower, different things that you can do to sort of help calm your brain and get you ready for a good night's sleep. Social connection and community. This is one of my favorite pillars of well-being. And I like to think that we are in community with other people in so many different ways. We can be in community with people that we are maybe commuting with on a train or a bus if we're commuting to work. We are in community with people that we work with. We have our colleagues and the people that we see day in and day out, whether in person or on the Zoom screen. We have our community of family and people that we see every day we might share a home with. We have people that we do activities with, might be an exercise class, a hobby, a quilting group, and we might participate in trips or other kinds of activities where we're with groups. There are many, many different ways in which we find social connection, and it is one of the very basic needs of all of us as human beings. It's very much in the middle of the basic human needs collection of things that are absolutely important to our day-to-day. So our social connection happens family, our neighbors and friends, our work colleagues, maybe old friends or people that we grew up with and we connect with every once in a while. people with whom we might share activities or hobbies and get together in that way. Pets and animals are also a community of close beings that for many bring joy and humor and meaning to your day. We might feel connected to the outdoors or get together with people doing outdoor activities, clubs, organizations, church communities. There are many ways that we can find social connection. And I want to zero in a little bit on the idea of spiritual connection, and I use the word connectedness. Again, we find that going through a cancer journey and many other things in life, but because we're focused on this experience in this group and in this setting, going through a cancer journey can sometimes be one of those moments in life where you stop and pause and reflect on yourself, your health, where you've come, where you're going, what goals you might have after treatment. It can be a very meaningful and impactful moment. And so if we think about community in this term of connectedness, that could be connecting to oneself. How has this experience changed me? What have I learned? What has been hard? How do I sort of capture all the things that are going on in my heart and my mind and my body as I process this? Connecting to meaning and purpose. What matters most is often a question that people come upon going through a cancer journey. And also the people that are helping, and those of you who are on the call who are caregivers and have been side by side with someone going through a cancer journey. Connection through creativity, sometimes music, art, dance, or other kinds of art forms or things that are creative are a way that you can feel connected. Connection to the outdoors for people who love the outdoors, no matter what season, there's always ways to feel connectedness. And there's a lot of interesting research on forest bathing, for example, which is just being outside in nature in the forest and noticing and listening and being present. Connection to others, which some of the things I've mentioned. Sometimes connection to a higher power or faith community or church is something that's important or you're drawn to during or after a cancer journey. We know that this connectedness helps us in many ways. We can regulate and manage our stress better. We have better resilience if we're more connected, emotional well-being, sense of belonging. And also because we often do some of these behaviors and getting back to the lifestyle medicine pillars, we often do things in community. It can help us promote our some of these healthy behaviors. So again, cooking together, exercising together, some of those things. So there are many, many benefits from the social connectedness. So moving on to this idea of investigations. Why are we talking about investigations in this kind of a talk? And the reason is, and again, in the spirit of variety and trying new things, for those of you who are familiar reading research articles or thinking about research, there is a concept called the N, or the number of study subjects. So in any kind of a study that you read where there's a percentage and some statistics, there will be an N. And in a study, for example, a study could be 20 participants. So the N would be 20. We, each of us, every one of us, is an N of 1, and we have the ability to do an experiment on ourselves every day. We're always trying new things and seeing how they go. So in this kind of framework, the experiment, you are the N of 1, you're conducting an experiment about something, whether it be related to sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress management, something that you're thinking about adopting. Create a hypothesis. I think I could try this new meal, this new form of exercise, this new activity, and then testing it. I'm going to try it in such a way and see how it goes. How do I feel? Did I get there? Did it, is it something that I can see fitting into my life and into my routine? And then making some conclusions. So this is our, how we come about thinking about investigations. In any investigation, you need some tools. So what do you need to do an experiment and try something new? You need resources and information. So we'll learn again from our guest speakers about different ways that they've incorporated variety and healthy habits and behaviors and activities, and understanding what might you try. You need some inspiration. It might be coming from yourself. It might be coming from someone else or someone that you see doing something and you think, wow, I'd like to do that. So some kind of inspiration. Accountability. You can be accountable to yourself. I'd like to make some changes and I'm going to set some goals for myself and be accountable. You might need some help. You might ask your spouse for some help. You might ask a coworker if it's something you're trying to change at work. getting some exercise during the lunch hour, for example. Being accountable to yourself and to others and asking for the help you need. Time and space is something that's really important. When are you going to do this? How are you going to do it? Do you have the space if it's an activity? And then motivation. What is motivating you? And again, often in this moment, kind of having gone through a cancer journey oneself, having supported a family member or friend, there's some motivation maybe to make some changes or to get back your strength. So barriers also, there we are, time, space, and motivation. It can be very easy to say, I don't have enough time, not enough hours in the day. I don't have space. I don't have the right equipment. I'm not motivated. So be mindful of the barriers and the things you might say to yourself that might get in the way of making a change. Attitude is one of the most important things that we need, and we like to think about a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is in contrast to a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says, we believe that we have the ability to change. I can change the way I eat and how I eat. I can change the way I move and how much I move and how I seek that physical activity in my life. I can change my habits so I can get some more sleep. We have the capability to discern and understand what we might need to change or what we might want to change, and then to go after that in this investigating kind of a way. So growth mindset, super important. And we absolutely have faith that people have the ability to change. Positivity, sort of finding the good, that it is no surprise to anyone who's listening that any kind of a cancer journey comes with incredible obstacles and challenges. It is no easy thing any step of the way, and there are physical, mental, psychological, and spiritual things that are incredibly hard. But there are positive things that come out of it. There are ways that you learn about yourself and what you can do, and ways that you can sort of be grateful for where you've come and for what you have and be able to move forward. So that kind of positive mindset is also really important. So SMART goals is just a way that we think about goal setting. And this SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-sensitive. It's easy to set a goal to say, I think I'm going to try to exercise more. It's very general and very vague. It's great thought. You're starting, you've got a good starting point if you're thinking that, or whatever goal you might be thinking about. But make it as specific as you can. Make it measurable. Give it some time points. Whether it's minutes in the day or something that you might be shopping for to integrate into your cooking. It's action-oriented. You're doing something, making a change. It's realistic. It's actually something that you can attain. That's really important, because it's one thing to make a goal that's really hard to achieve and then feel badly about it, versus setting a goal that you achieve, and then you feel great and can celebrate that. And then time sensitivity means having some, really specific time metrics. So an example of a measurable SMART goal might be, this one is around exercise. This week, discrete time frame, I will exercise 3 times for 20 minutes each. Very specific. And I'm going to do that on Monday before work. I'm going to take the dog for a walk for 20 minutes. On Wednesday, I'm going to go to a park at lunch and go for a walk with a friend after we eat, being together and connecting. And on Saturday, I'm going to ride my bike on the bike path near my house. So again, very specific, very easy to grasp, and then measure on the back end. So a few ways to think about goals and make them a little more easy, or ways for you to be accountable. Write them down. Set something in your calendar that, if you're, in that example, 20 minutes 3 times a week, book it in your calendar. So it's there, and you would give it the same respect that you would a meeting with your boss. It's there, it's booked in the calendar, and try to keep guardrails on that. Posting goals on the refrigerator makes you accountable to whomever you're sharing your home with. Maybe reaching out via social media, putting out, I'm going to set this goal. I've come through this. I'm going to set the goal, and having people sort of say, great, that's awesome. Give you some positive feedback. And then you can set daily, weekly, monthly goals, even yearly goals. But in the beginning, you want to sort of start small, maybe think about daily goals. And then telling a friend or a family member, again, that gets to the accountability. So as I finish up these slides, think about, maybe some of the things that you've seen have inspired you in any of these pillars of well-being. What might you investigate coming out of this cancer journey? Maybe you're still right in the middle of it. Maybe you're trying to make some changes. What might you investigate about yourself and integrate that into behavior change? I will end my part with a quote by Lloyd Alexander, who is a renowned author of both adult and children's literature. And this says, "We learn more by looking for the answer to a question and not finding it than we do from learning the answer itself." I use the word journey a lot. You've heard me say it many times just now, but this is very much a journey, and that's what's important to think about as we go forward. And now I will stop sharing my screens. Oh no, I will not stop. I'll keep sharing my screen, will I? And have Lauren introduce our guests.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Sylvia, for getting us a nice foundation and framework to begin the second half of our webinar, which will be our panel discussion. And I'm just, again, so thrilled to welcome our two panelists. And also one more shout out to everybody who's joined us live this afternoon for the webinar as well. Hello, hello, and welcome, and thank you for being here. In the spirit of variety, when it comes to physical activities and social connections, we are happy to welcome our first speaker, who brings together a deep healthcare experience and powerful commitment to healing through community. With a strong background in healthcare administration, she understands the systems that support care, but she also understands the human side of survivorship. Lisa DiTullio is the founder of Row Forward at the Cohasset Maritime Institute, a welcoming rowing program built on both science and the belief that movement and connection are powerful tools for healing. Her work creates space for strength, resilience, and community on and off the water. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thrilled to be here.
We are so thrilled that you're here. And in a moment, when we get to talking more about Row Forward, we will be sharing some slides with some photos of participants in just a moment. But first, I love that we can kind of chat face to face without the slides. And I just hope you could share with us what led you to try rowing. I looked at that lengthy list of physical activities, and of all the gazillions of them, it wasn't even on there. So it's certainly a new, sort of an innovative idea. We'd love to hear all about what led you to it.
It's so funny, Lauren, because when I was looking at the slide, I'm like, well, this is a perfect opportunity to put a spotlight on something that's not on the list that a lot of people aren't familiar with, which is rowing. I actually had the opportunity to learn how to row way back over 10 years ago. So it's been something that has been part of my lifestyle repertoire forever. And it was an opportunity to literally get in a boat on the ocean of all things. So this is a very unique situation rather than flat water, but I live near the ocean, and giving the opportunity to introduce adults on how to row. Which I was completely enamored with and completely took into two things that were magical for me. One, which was the benefit of whole body exercise. Probably three. Two, it was a beautiful environment to be on the water and to explore that and be relaxed and to come off sweaty all at the same time. And then third, it was about the community connection. It was about the opportunity of meeting others in the boat, getting to know one another, getting to trust one another, and getting to really add and to really knit together the exercise component with the social component. And for me, that was my all in, and have been doing it both recreationally and competitively for a number of years, which has been really fun. So for me, it's easy to promote this skill because I've had so much experience and opportunity to do it, and everyone can do it. No one needs any special skills in order to get in a boat.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds so much fun. And I love how you really highlighted that aspect of trusting the other people. Like, you have to trust each other. You're all going to be working together. So certainly you've highlighted the benefits of rowing from a physical standpoint and from a community standpoint. And I'm wondering if it's sort of anything further than that. What has rowing helped you learn about yourself?
I think the number one thing for me, never being in the boat before, is I am able to do more than I give myself credit for. So I think it really provides you with an opportunity to gain confidence in yourself. Not knowing and never experiencing it in an adult manner was, I think, really scary in the beginning. Until I realized that everyone else in the boat had similar attributes, or even those that had done it in the past were completely supportive and welcoming for those of us who had never done it before. So it created that very safe environment. And I think that my absolute takeaway was not knowing what to do or how to do it. I realized the more you did it and the more you gave yourself that opportunity to not only just emerge, but to challenge yourselves, was a huge win and a huge opportunity to continue to just want to do it again and again and again.
Yeah. The opportunity to learn something new, a skill that you maybe aren't sure you can do, and then you see yourself in real time getting better and getting the encouragement from the others. That really sounds like it was sort of pushing you forward. So tell us, what makes this program special for cancer survivors?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed in 2023 and knew immediately that I wanted to do something with my diagnosis that was positive and optimistic. Because many of the things, Sylvia, that you highlighted are so incredibly important, particularly that mindset piece of it. And ironically, around the time that I was diagnosed was also a serendipity walking by my TV right before the head of the Charles race in Boston, Massachusetts. And they were interviewing a group of individuals from a club that it does exactly what we are now doing through the Row Forward program, which is introducing rowing programs for cancer survivors everywhere. And when I learned of this organization, I immediately got in touch with them because I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to blend and marry the benefit and the opportunity and my love for rowing to also sync with my new world life of being a cancer survivor. And through their guidance, support, and membership, we created a program through the club that I've been with all these years to be a program called Row Forward just for that purpose, for cancer survivors, giving them the opportunity to learn how to row or to revisit rowing if they haven't done it in a long time, doing it both indoors as well as outdoors, and giving them that sense of community. We know that exercise is hugely important for cancer survivors, and continuous studies give us more and more data to show how compelling it is. And that's exactly what we did. So we launched, it's been almost a year.
Amazing. I love it. And yes, I wanted to just let the participants know we will be addressing a lot of the questions that are popping up in the chat, asking about resources and where do I go, and opportunities in the Boston area. So we will share as much as we can after we get through our panelists. So this is great, lighting up a lot of interest. So how might someone join Row Forward if they happen to live in the South Shore area or would like to travel there and do it? Please tell us how they would do that.
I will, and I actually will give some addresses in the chat as we continue and before I leave the segment. So on the South Shore of Massachusetts, south of Boston, there is an organization called the Cohasset Maritime Institute. That's the club that I'm part of. We're unique in a couple of ways. Number one, we are the only club that we are aware of on the South Shore that offers such a program, because there's multiple rowing clubs in the South Shore area. And the other thing that makes us extraordinarily unique is we are the only rowing club that's referred to as a coastal club, because we row on the ocean rather than rivers or flat water. And not only are we unique in the Massachusetts, New England area, but our connection through the Survivor Rowing Network, we are the only club that they have that offers coastal rowing. So it places us in a very unique situation, stands us out a little bit more, and people drive with a lot of curiosity. So the Cohasset Maritime Institute which is rowcmi.org, and I'll give you this information in just a couple of minutes, is the best way. But I'll also give you my direct email, and I'm more than happy, because I'm the one that's driving that program in Cohasset, in order to do that. To answer your question also, Lauren, about what about the Boston area, there is a program through We Can Row Boston. It is a program that was actually designed over 20 years ago through Holly Metcalf, who is not only the current MIT rowing coach, she's also an Olympic gold medal winner of rowing.
Wow.
So it's got significant instructional value for all of us. The We Can Row Boston program opens for breast cancer survivors only, where we in Cohasset, we will welcome everyone. But what's also interesting is they are in the process of developing a pilot specifically across Boston, partnership with many of the universities across the city, where an indoor rowing program will be shortly introduced. And I'm also can give more information that when I provide you with that information and emails. So there is good and growing information and availability of how people can actually get this information, sign up, and learn more.
Awesome. And I was just asking Sylvia too to put the slideshow back on, because the last two slides are featuring the row forward. Sylvia, are you on? Are you able to share those?
Yep.
She's trying. Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to show everybody those pictures. It's fun.
But while we're looking for them, what I can say to you is that anyone getting in a boat on any level of water, it is an opportunity for you, everything else in your life to disappear. And it to provide you not just with the healthy environment and the benefits to it, but also psychological. And you are supported by other rowers who experience the same thing that we do. Sometimes we talk about it, sometimes we don't. And it's just okay, because sometimes that simple quietness is exactly what can happen. And the friendships and the benefits and the support are extraordinary. So these are some slides that talk about the Row Forward program, specifically how we introduce that program. We also do an indoor water tank that you see on the right. On the left is in the ocean. On the right is we do practice technique in an indoor where we sit on the water. We don't go anywhere, but we actually learn the techniques associated with that. And then I think you have a couple of other pictures that just show the gorgeous views of being in lovely environments. This is coastal, where you can see where it is just glorious and so therapeutic on so many levels. And the
marsh, so pretty.
Yeah.
The marshland.
It's pretty stunning.
This is awesome. Yes, and it sounds like, again, we'll share this later, but it sounds like there's also indoor rowing opportunity for wintertime with We Can Row. So that's key this time of year.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, and Row Forward indoor outdoor. Boston Row Forward is doing indoor outdoor, and then more indoor sessions to begin in Boston coming up.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing this incredible resource. And there's a lot of interest, and so we will we'll work with Amy to make sure folks can get the information and hopefully get them to you. Awesome. Thanks so much. So hang on for questions at the end, but we're going to turn our attention to Candace, our next speaker. So thrilled to have you. So I'm, again, thrilled to introduce Candace, whom I've had the great pleasure of knowing. And she has shared her personal journey of healthy lifestyle changes and how these changes have positively impacted her life. Her story, at least to me, really emphasizes the concept of whole health, really pulling it all together, health that goes beyond, also health that goes beyond the physical and extends into spirituality and our connections with others. So welcome, Candace.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm so happy to be here. And also thank you, Lisa and Amy and Sylvia. And when I was just listening to Sylvia's presentation, it was just such a relief. And Lauren, you already know this just from our interactions in clinic of just talking. When I seen the lifestyle medicine announcement that this was taking place at Mass General, it literally warmed my heart, and mainly because a lot of the different techniques that were listed there, and even the things that Sylvia shared, I actually was already doing before I actually started my treatment. And I just thought it was just amazing to see it because, in some aspects, I felt like when I was sharing with different family members or different people that were in my circle, they're looking at me like I'm crazy, kind of like, why are you doing all of this? Like, that type of thing. And then not realizing that all of those different techniques of things that I was doing was actually helping me with my outcomes of survivorship. So I'm just beyond grateful for that. And I'm happy to share some of the different techniques that I did. And I hope that it's
Please.
inspiring to others. And just note that, you can decide on what you feel most comfortable doing. And for me, I was a person where I'm like, I'd rather try something than do nothing at all, at least the things that are in my power. And as you know, with any cancer diagnosis, there's a lot of things that you can't control, but there are some things that you can. And the things that I could control, those are the things that I actually started working on. So for myself, Lifestyle Clinic was tremendous because I was already connected to a therapist already, and that was key for me because I had also lost my mom actually 20 days after I got diagnosed. And that was really hard for me because I was still trying to figure out like how to grieve and how to plan, a service for my mom, and still not really sure what to do with all of this at one time. But as one of the things that really helped me ground it was my spiritual life, and that was something that really kept me sane. So I actually didn't lose hope, and I stayed positive. And I realized before even sitting in a chair to receive treatment, I needed to make sure that my mental state was fully there. And the reason why that was important is because I also I'm in healthcare as well, and I work at Dana-Farber, and I've been here for 17 years. And as someone that has been in that environment for so long, I knew that my mindset will definitely play a role in my outcomes. So that was really key for me to make sure that I was fully connected and I was fully willing to go through this process. And part of that was also important because I needed to make sure that whoever I decided to move forward with my healthcare choice, that I was comfortable with the team. And the reason why that was important because I'm a person who asks 1,000 questions, and I needed to make sure that whoever that I was being connected with, that they would be open to answering those 1,000 questions, that I had, because it was just, I needed to understand how things were moving and how, this treatment was recommended over that one and all of these different questions. And I say this to say, that whatever you decide to do and whatever you decide to try, make sure you're truly comfortable with it because it's really going to impact how well you do. And even for me, like I knew that I needed to change my diet, and I started thinking like, how was I eating? I was eating terrible, like terrible. And so as a result, I realized like, okay, I need to start eating more healthier foods with nutrition. And with better nutrition, I was eating a lot of fast food at one point. Now I don't even eat fast food. Like I eat more whole meals, plant-based, vegan type of thing. I mean, I'll eat fish and things of that nature and stuff. But again, some of my friends make fun of me. They're like, you don't even drink either. I don't drink either. Like I'm not a person that indulge in alcohol because I don't want my liver to be overworking than when it needs to. So this is also me just doing research, reading different articles and everything, and no judgment for anybody that decides to do that. There's nothing wrong with if that's what you decide on doing. But for me, this was something that I needed to do. And before I sat down and I had my treatment, I had to know what was my why. Like, why am I doing all of this? And that was the biggest key for me in order for me to receive my healing. And my why was, hey, I'm too young. I want to live. I want to be able to tell my story to others. And then on top of that, I was also engaged. And I was like, I don't want nobody else with my husband. Okay. So I need to be able to live so then I could see him, you know? And then on top of that, like with my family, I wanted to be able to have more memories with them. And I just knew that my journey wasn't done yet. And when I met Lauren and I met, Dr. Moy, they were fantastic. And I had amazing providers that I also connected with at Dana-Farber as well. But it just felt too close to home for me because, everybody knew me there. And for me, I just needed to be in an environment where not many people knew me. But of course, when I came to MGH, that was a lie. They knew me there anyway. So, so it was just really, and I say it was a very scary journey, but also knowing that I had amazing support from my care team. I had amazing support from my husband, my family, my friends, that was really key. And when Sylvia talked about social connections, and you heard Lisa talk about that too, that is so important for you to actually go through this journey with someone, because a lot of the time we're like feeling like, I don't want to be a burden to no one. I don't want people to inconvenience themselves. But when I sat there and I was going through my treatments every week, my girlfriends came to sit with me. My husband came to sit with me. My dad came to sit with me. And I never really realized how important it was to have them there because it really made me realize that I'm not going through this alone. And I know that I've been talking a lot, so
I love it.
but it's
You
just
could have
so
run this
many
session.
different, yeah, it's just so many moving pieces. Like, another thing that was really key for me was forgiveness. That was the biggest thing because I think that that really caused me to really get sick because, again, like I mentioned, my mom had passed away not from breast cancer, but from sarcoma cancer. And I found out, for me that I wasn't BRCA1 or BRCA2 positive. But as a result, I think what activated this more was a level of trauma that I kind of went through at that moment because I was going through so much stress and I didn't know what to do with all my feelings at one point. And so now I have learned to forgive, to let go, and to also be able to have people in my environment that celebrate me and that I'm willing to celebrate them as well because I think that that's so important that you really look at what your true friendships are and are those friendships really authentic, and I had to, walk away from some friendships that I thought were friendships. And I realized, like, hey, this person never even checked on me to see if I was okay. Like, and I had to also realize, like, people have other things that are going on in their lives too. But one of the most important things is, am I always the one doing the outreaching or is it reciprocal? And I realized that some of my relationships wasn't reciprocal. And so that was another thing that I had to talk to with my counselor at that moment. And even like I started doing physical therapy and I started going to Pilates and yoga. And I just started becoming this like, hey, don't interrupt my peace because at this time you interrupted my healing and I ain't got time for that. I don't argue with people anymore. And I think that's why I'm able to stay looking youthful. I just celebrated my 40th birthday a couple of days ago and I'm gonna stay looking like I'm in my 20s. Okay. So
And
that,
radiant and
yeah.
radiant. And I think what really strikes me, Candace, as we've talked, but also sharing all the things, there's certainly really epitomizing this idea of investigation, right? You took some real, let's say hard looks at lifestyle, like globally, and made some, then from that, you made some really specific changes that resonated for you, were important to you. And regardless of what anyone else thought, you were going to do it. And it was important. And you've also shared like how better you feel, like having made some of those changes, like diet and things like that, and even enlightened other people where to find like healthy fast food and or quickly prepared foods and things like that, whereas people might not know that. So you've really done your research, again, acting like an investigator, a scientist of your own self. and all the things that you've learned and research and putting the time in and asking the questions, you know, finding the team that is able to be on that track with you. And then of course the variety, all of the things that you've tried and stuck with, and this underlying thread of community, nurturing social connections and spirituality is just really kind of tied it all together, I think, along the way. So I just can't thank you enough for sharing that. And we only have a few minutes, and I know we're going to have questions. So I do want to make sure we ask for those questions so that you guys, I'm sure they will be directed to the two of you. We get a chance to get those, at least attempt to answer a few of them from the audience. So Amy, are you there to facilitate that, or should Sylvia and I do that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Amy, Sam.
See what we have.
Thank you. There were a lot of questions.
There were. Sorry, I'm just kind of sifting through them. I don't know if we addressed the question regarding a short nap, on what constitutes a short nap and when it might be helpful for dealing with fatigue.
Yeah, so I think way back in Sylvia's slides, there was a question about naps, and sort of a short and sweet answer is simply that naps are okay and sometimes very needed, but sleep experts recommend that naps be limited to about 30 minutes and not exceed that, and tend to be maybe more disruptive to falling asleep if they're late in the evening. So try and nap if you're going to nap earlier in the day. And again, there's going to be exceptions, but just as a sleep hygiene recommendation. I hope that answers that one. And then there were a bunch of questions about rowing.
Yes.
So certainly
Recommendations on where to get started.
We can row in Boston and the indoor program at BU. A lot of people talked about how much they love being on the water. Wellness Warriors does dragon boat racing festivals. That's, I think, Boston based as well. That's really cool. I know a few folks that are doing that. And then a number of participants also just commented on how much Candace's discussion resonated with them. So Candace, I want to make sure you hear that. So really lovely things, and I think it's important to share them because we are in community on this webinar. But just saying how it resonated, they appreciated what you had to say. You are so inspiring to others. Thank you so much for sharing. And then Sylvia also, I think, says it lovely. The cancer treatment journey impacts and rearranges your connections and circles, right? And sometimes you do need to let people go because those relationships are not where they sort of you need them to be, right? And I love that existing ties can then be strengthened, right? Then you have more space for those healthy relationships to grow. And that's a really great way of looking at it, right? Just making space in your heart. And yes, and then Lisa did give us that information about the rowing oh my gosh, all of the resources. So that's awesome. And you can get on her mailing list.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is not sure where to go, you can come to me first and I can give you easy ways of navigation. The new program that's going to launch in Boston, we are collecting and putting together a mailing list if you want to learn more as that progresses. So I'm happy to share experiences and give you direction.
I love how
Amazing.
both Candace and Lisa, your presentations and contribution really just touch on so many different things. I think Lisa, rowing is physically active. There's a great cardiovascular exercise that we will certainly add to the slide. But it's outdoors, it's being together, it's making new friends, it's getting confidence. It's just being in those beautiful spaces. There's so much there. And Candace, I love you touched on so many of the things that I said as well. Just, how you eat, what you shop for, how you, integrate that into being with your family and friends and introducing them to new things and variety. And that leaning on, a sense of connectedness and faith and really digging deep in what has only been an incredibly challenging moment in your life. And yet here you are on screen, just beautiful and glowing and talking about this growth mindset and positivity that is extraordinary and just like comes out so beautifully. So thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. And we are crazy. We're at 1:01 p.m. That hour flies by.
I
Thanks
do
so
have
much.
a
Thank you,
quick
Amy, for
request
hosting us.
from Lisa.
yeah.
Lisa, do you mind resharing those resources that you shared in the chat to everyone? I was trying to copy and paste, but I'm unable to copy and paste the
Yeah.
text from the chat, if you don't mind.
I was also unable to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm sending is contact information across these organizations, and not the websites. So, but again, if you want to contact me to hear more about what each of these programs offer, I'm happy to do that. So my email is there and available.
Do you mind resending that and sending it to everyone so that everyone can see it? I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
Right
Absolutely.
now, only we can see it. I just want to make sure everyone gets
Yeah.
what they
Okay.
need.
Yeah, got it.
Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Thank you. Thanks for that call out. There you go, everyone.
There you go. So I'll hold the screen. I'll keep the screen on for another couple minutes for anyone who's interested in jotting down that contact information.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a
Thank
wonderful rest of your day. Happy
Thanks,
New
everyone.
Year coming up
Take
too.
care.
Happy
Take
New
care.
Year.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye.
for everyone who's still on the call right now, you'll see that I added information regarding our next session. So save the date. Our next paving session will be Paving the Way with Every Bite, Nutrition as a Tool for Cancer Survivorship, which will be on Wednesday, January 14th, also at noon. I included the link to the Blum Center website. That link will provide you with more information on this session, as well as upcoming sessions of the series, the Zoom links to attend them, as well as an option to be able to view any of the past recordings. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Take care.